Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are on day 77, lucky number 77. We are continuing our reading of Elsie Lincoln Benedict's book, How to Get Anything You Want in 7 Lessons. We are on lesson 6, just about to finish this book up. We've read the whole thing together. I've shared stories. We've read her beautiful metaphors and chatted a little bit about all the concepts she's using, which are quite powerful. So let's dive in. If you missed any of the previous readings and you want to read along with us or catch up or just listen to this series, there are 76 other videos. It's a playlist on my YouTube channel under Elsie Lincoln Benedict, How to Get Anything You Want on the playlists, along with all other playlists that I have, which are a lot. So if you're interested in reading some books and you want to kind of hear, I call it like the director's cut. It's me commenting on books, which I find helpful because I use practical examples of the concepts that they're using. All right. We left off yesterday with her saying, here are a few keys to some of the greater doors of opportunity. Key number 1, time. Invest your time. Don't merely spend it. He will go farthest and fastest who best utilizes his time. How do you use your time? Are you good at using your time? Do you invest your time or do you spend your time? How do you invest your time? We use that word a lot. How do you spend your time? How do you spend your day? How about we invest our time instead of spending our time? Every person has more or less spare time, enough to remake his life if he would use it properly. That is the number one thing, like myself included. When people are interested in personal development, now that I'm in the world and people ask me questions, people want to, sign up and do the courses because they want their lives to change because this is life changing. But not everybody's ready for it, right? Because it's not how we're programmed. We are programmed to go to school, to get a job, to be like the 98%. But when we find that this is not working for us anymore, we start to inquire, what are successful people doing? People that have time and money freedom. Oh, they invest their money. They spend how much on a course? They go to what kind of seminars? What do they do with their time? They invest their time in studying and masterminding and studying themselves, taking courses. And it takes a while to get there. And so there's 2 reasons why people say they can't do something. Number 1, money. Money is always the barrier in their or their reason why. And I get it. I get it. But when you really want it, and if you're honest with yourself, anything that you really want in life, money's not an issue. You're going to find a way to get it, right? Never put yourself in a dangerous situation. But if you have to put yourself in a little bit of a stretch or an uncomfortable situation, think about all the things that aren't important, like if we wanted to go to a concert or buy good tires for our car, or like the things that we really spend money on, going out with friends, booking a trip, putting things on our credit card. And that was me. I never questioned getting up a bar tab, racking up my tab, going out partying, spending all the monies on Ubers, right? Like I never questioned that. But when someone asked me to drop some money on a course, I'm like, I didn't get it. But when things don't work long enough and then you start to do your research and see where all the successful people hang out and how they invest their money, not just spend their money, you're like, oh, okay. And the first time you do it, it feels scary. But then you get used to it. And then you're like, how much? Okay, great. People are trying to like what they call like sell you. You inquire and they're like, well, this is what I said. I don't care. Take my money. I'm already in. I'm already sold. I already know I want to do this. I know people in there and I know their results. So you don't have to sell me. Just save your breath. Where do I put in my credit card number, right? Um, so what she's saying, so I said money is the number 1, but time is number 2. When people say, I don't have the time, like I don't have time for that. I don't have time to go to that course. I don't have time. And I say that fair enough. Or the gym. Can you work out? Can you meditate? I don't have time for that. Okay. If you don't have 5 minutes to meditate or to regulate your emotions, you're screwed. Like there's no easy way to say it. If you do not have 5 minutes, if you cannot find 5 minutes to calm and regulate, read a book, read a couple sentences, take some conscious breaths, do some 4 square breathing or some tapping. If you want to change your life and you cannot find 5 minutes in your day, the prognosis ain't good. What is going on? It means that you need it more than anybody else. That's the issue. So are you spending your time, investing your time? Don't use that as an excuse. And it might not consciously, you might not say, Carla, it's not an excuse, it's the reality. Well, if you want to change the reality, something's got to give here, or this reality is going to perpetuate where you don't have the time or the money. And we use a lot of terms. People want time and money freedom. That truly is. Do you want time and money freedom? That is, in my opinion, freedom is the ultimate goal. Feeling free, feeling like I am not bound to time or money, like it doesn't hang over my head. You know, that's really, for me, that's peace of mind, freedom from the outside world, truly. And that's what I'm working towards in my life. Yeah. Every person has more or less spare time, enough to remake his life if he would use it properly. No one need lack for opportunity as long as he has a few hours a day to use as he chooses. The first great difference you will find between the failures and the successes is that the failures have not considered their time worth much, while the successful have always seen it in their greatest capital. Your time is your greatest capital. Are you squandering your time? Do you not even manage your time? Do you just wake up, the alarm goes off, and you're off to the races until the end of the day? You're crawling into bed, scrolling mindlessly until you fall asleep, until you wake up, and the whole thing washes, rinse, repeats again. If we want to break out of that cycle, something has to change. And it is uncomfortable. It is because it's not your comfort zone. That's okay. It's temporary, but it's worth it. It's so worth it. Let me read that again. The first difference you will find between the failures and the successes is that the failures have not considered their time worth much, while the successful have always seen it as their greatest capital. While the successful have always seen in it their greatest capital. Whenever you hear a man talking about having so much time on his hands to kill, you are looking at one who is headed straight downhill. But when you find someone of any age or station who puts a premium on his time, you are looking at one who is going to climb. No matter how long your working day may be, you have certain hours each day or week that belong to you. If you will organize your time outside of office hours, you can increase your ability, chances, and bank account. I was talking to somebody in our Wednesday night group tonight for the Think and Grow Rich mentorship. And she was saying that I said, you organize your time. And she said, yeah, well, I have my appointments and everything. I said, okay, that's good, right? We have our appointments scheduled where we need to be. But what about your time? Do you have that organized? The me time in our, like the study time, the meditation time, the out walking in nature time, that's important to spend it on yourself. Remember, doing things for work or for our business isn't just the only productive thing. The most productive thing we can do is have that creative time, a walk in nature, listening to our favorite music, just staring at a tree. I'm dead serious. I remember Bob Proctor always used to say, schedule time in your day to do nothing, to imagine, to just think. Schedule time to just think. And of course, he studied Think and Grow Rich all of his life, every single day for 60 years. And there's stories in there about Thomas Edison, how he used to just sit and think and create. Einstein, same thing. We think we think. Mental activity does not constitute thinking. Just because the ticker tape is rolling in here doesn't mean we're thinking. It just means that there's just stuff rolling around in the algorithm in the feed. But when we really think, that takes effort. Henry Ford, I think it was said in Think and Grow Rich, thinking is one of the most laborious things in the world. That's why many people don't do it. Thinking takes a lot of effort, energy, attention, focus. Think about when you had to really think during a test, during an exam, putting together some sort of speech or presentation. You really had to put thought into it. When you're having an argument, you have to think things over. When you're thinking about making a change in your life, we avoid that. It's a lot. I don't want to think about that right now. How many times have you said that? I don't want to think about that right now. No, we'll talk about it later. I don't want to think about that right now because we have to actually think And that is like, it's like going to the gym, but internally. We think, but it's just mental activity. Thinking is a purposeful, conscious activity that we do. And it's important to set aside time to actually think. Think for ourselves. What we hear with our ears and the thoughts that just go around in our head is not thinking. We have a higher faculty of reason, our reasoning faculty, to think for ourselves. Take in the information, listen to what you want, and then sit down and think about it. What do you think about it? Do you agree with it? Maybe there's parts you do, maybe you don't. Take what you like, leave the rest. What do you think? Right? All right. So whenever you hear someone with a lot of time, they're going downhill. But someone who respects their time and manages it and honors it, they're going somewhere. So no matter how long your workday may be, you have certain hours each day. Schedule time for yourself. It'll increase your ability, your chances, and your bank account. Time wasters never find the big doors of opportunity. One of the chief reasons for Franklin's fame was his determination to use all his time for worthwhile things. He tells in his autobiography how he pledged himself never to waste a single moment. Of course, this was a little extreme, but holding it up as a standard for himself had much to do with his becoming one of the most outstanding men of the day in which he lived. Nothing in the world can hold you back if you use your spare time wisely. Nothing in the world can hold you back if you use your spare time wisely. The habit brings many incidental blessings as well as the wonderful direct ones. Here are a few. It keeps our minds on something worthy and keeps them away from the trashy thoughts that soon infest the idler's head. Oh, this is so good. This is like what Napoleon Hill calls drifters. Like, we think we drift, like, oh, that's a drifter. Look at them at the bar, smoking, drinking, drifting in their life. They're not doing anything. That's the outside manifestation. But drifting happens in our mind first. We drift. A Course in Miracles says, you are far too tolerant of mind wandering. We let our mind just drift in the wind. Like, are we paying attention and focusing on where we're going in our mind, directing our thoughts instead of just letting all the thoughts direct us from every which way? The habit brings many, okay, it keeps our minds on something worthwhile and keeps them away from the trashy thoughts that soon infest the idler's head. So the idle thinker, the person that ain't got nothing going on, no goals, no hopes, nothing that they're focused on. Trashy thoughts fill that up. Think about it like an abandoned house. What kind of places, like, think of a house that doesn't have anybody living in it. What does it attract? Squatters, drug dealers, like just people doing nefarious, dark stuff because it's an empty house. But if the house was full of life and bright lights, no one's going to go in that house. You know, it's like, well, which one are they going to pick? Of course, people do break into houses with people in it, but you know what I'm saying. Ever listen to the conversation of a street corner loafer? Yeah. So when we fill our time with like we don't waste a single moment, we're doing something that we love, including imagining or thinking or writing or journaling or reading or walking or doing something, that we really love instead of just sitting around. I wonder what we're going to do. That's one thing, let me tell you right now. Okay. Especially when you're working towards something, which I definitely am. My schedule is booked in advance. And I'm working on having a little more like, but you know what? I do schedule a lot of time to relax. I'm not always doing something by God. Like today, I had a whole day at the park, like 3 hours. And it was so nice. But I say that because it's interesting when people like it, say it's Thursday. Hey, I have this thing on Saturday. And I'm thinking, I already at the beginning of the month know what I'm doing the fourth Saturday of the month because I schedule my time. No judgment. That's just how I work. But I wonder, like, oh, what are you doing tonight? Nothing. Like, that used to be me. but I always know what I'm doing. And of course, I am working on being more flexible with that. But not when I'm working, I ain't got time for anything right now. I ain't got time. And I have no shame. Like it just, I wonder, because I used to be like that. And I'm sure there are times where I'll be like that when I'm in between certain things. But when you're focused on something, your schedule is pretty set. And there's little time for anything like, oh, let's go for a coffee. I don't have time for that right now. And people that understand are my people, you know? But people who don't, mm-mm. But you know what? I surround myself. There's actually no one in my life that doesn't understand. If they don't, like if I can't respond, if I can't do this, like they don't take it personal, they get it. They understand. She's working for some. She's going somewhere, right? It keeps us out of temptation. The devil finds work for idle hands to do, right? The devil works in idle hands. When we're just drifting, we ain't got nowhere to go, trouble finds you. That's why kids, it's important. That's why we put kids in sports. We make sure that their day is all filled up because when they ain't got nothing to do, something always ends up on fire. Like something always ends up happening when kids aren't entertained or focused or have somewhere to be or something to do. They find trouble. The devil works in idle hands. It keeps us away from those who would harm us, those who prey upon mankind, avoid the time savers and concentrate on only the ones who are good prospects, the people who place no value on time. That's the truth. So it says that, so Franklin is saying that he wastes not a single moment. Nothing in the world can hold you back if you use your time wisely. The habit of using your time wisely is a blessing. It keeps our minds on something worthwhile and keeps the trashy thoughts out. It keeps us out of temptation. It keeps us away from those who would harm us, those who prey upon people. They avoid people who respect their time because they can't catch them. So they concentrate on people who ain't got nothing to do because they're targets. They're porous. They're easy targets because they ain't got nothing to do. It keeps us out of wrong environments. The worst places in the world are those where most time is thrown away by the most ignorant people, and the best are those where intelligent ones gather to improve their time and their minds. I use this analogy a lot about the Las Vegas Strip, how there's the South End, the North End, and there's hotels, right? There's down at the South, we got the Hooters, the Tropicana. Is that even there anymore? Excalibur. Yeah. Just just let's just say Hooters is very different if you go and you go to the Wynn or the Encore. It's just different. Different vibrations, no judgment. It's just you'll find different types of people, different vibrations there. And it's not good or bad, it's just different. But she's saying here, and this is in a different context, but she's saying that when you go to places where people don't value their time or their money, not that they don't value it, but they just operate on a different level. You'll find them in different places, as opposed to the places it says you'll find them is people who improve their lives. They're investing in their time and their improve their time and their minds. Like they're developing themselves. They're developing themselves. So would you rather go to a club and a bar or a seminar and a personal development workshop? That's the best way to say it. But people who go to the bars are spending their time and money a certain way, and people who are in personal development workshops spend their time and money in a certain way. People who stay at Hooters are investing their time and money in a certain way, and people who spend their time and money at Encore are investing their time and money in a different way too. And it's whatever you prefer, whatever your vibe is, that's your tribe. But just think about it. What kind of people do you want to be around? And it doesn't mean that everyone at Hooters is trashy and everyone at Encore is great. There's trashy people in Encore and there's wonderful people at Hooters, maybe. But it's just a metaphor. It's a blanket generalization, but there's a point. And that used to be me, by the way. I mean, I never stayed at Hooters, but I did stay at the south end of that strip. She's on the north end now. Okay. All right. Ask any successful, happy man how he got his start, and it will not be 5 minutes until you hear something like this. I began to use my spare time for self-improvement. I read and studied. I especially studied myself and my abilities. In my younger days, I wrote on a big newspaper that made a specialty of studying the life stories of great men and women. In interviewing them, I made the discovery that they had, without a single exception, capitalized their spare time. Not one of them had money or opportunities to start with. On the contrary, they had less than the average, but they rose to the heights. Each had made a practice of throwing no more time away than was absolutely necessary. Each had thought of his time as his great opportunity, and by employing it properly, found many other chances waiting when the time came. Regardless of where you are now, you can go pretty nearly as far as you please if you will start today to invest the hours you have been throwing away. If you are in a position that you are not happy with, I work with a lot of clients who are trying to transition out, like I was last year. I was in a full-time position at the therapy practice that I worked for, and I wanted to have more time and money freedom. I wanted to get away from just having one-on-one clients because I like to teach to many groups, stuff like that. I still do one-on-ones. But it was just feeling my schedule, and that's not the way I wanted to spend my day. It was just like I was stuck in my office all day. I didn't like it. And so how do you transition, especially when I was like full time? Like I would leave my house at 7:30. I would get home at, when did I get home? 5:30. I had a 30-minute lunch or an hour lunch. I don't even remember anymore. Anyways, I would have to leave my house at 7:30 and I got home at 5:30 and I wanted to start my own business. Okay. I felt trapped, as you can imagine. What am I going to do? Well, I have the weekends off, Saturday and Sunday, but I would get mad. I'm like, I want time off. I don't want to work on the weekends. That right there shows my attitude towards it. I have since it's a joy to work every single day. I mean, I don't push myself and work all day, but like I always do a little something because I can't not. It's just, it brings me joy to like fix things and do things and post things and create things and all that kind of stuff, edit things. But what I did was, and this is how I really started a couple years ago doing videos. If you look back at some of my videos on Think and Grow Rich, on the different chapters of decision, persistence, the Science of Getting Rich, I did that series, Neville Goddard. What I would do is I would get up at 5 a.m., I would work out, I would shower, get ready, and by 7 o'clock, I would be sitting in front of the computer and I would do a reading for 20 minutes every morning, Monday through Friday. I committed to that for like, I don't even know how long. You'll see it. Every morning I was ready before I go to work. So it was at 7 o'clock, I would sit in the chair, do my reading for 20 minutes. I would remember, I would look at the time, I got to go to work, and I would take off. When I got home, I would cut those videos up into some reels and then post them out. So that slowly started, actually, it made me feel freer, oddly enough. Like I wouldn't resent that time at work from 7:30 to 5:30 because I know that I was doing what I wanted to do on the bookends. Could be different for everybody else. I would use my Saturday mornings to create too, and then I would take Sunday off. But like, how bad do you want it? What do you want to do? Fit it in your schedule. Use every bit of time. I could have very well slept in, went to work, hated it, came home, pissed because I was at work all day, scrolled, Netflixed, went to bed, rinse and repeat. Nothing in my life would change. Even if you're just willing to do it for one day. If it's something you really love, it's going to bring you energy and it's going to help you through that 9 to 5 and it's going to get you out. It's like the Shawshank Redemption. If you haven't seen that movie, little by little, he's making a hole in the wall behind the poster, right? And he takes the rocks every day to the yard and he lets it go, but he's building his tunnel. He's digging his hole out. I used to think that when I was at work. I'm like, this is the Shawshank Redemption. Every day I'm building my tunnel to get free, and I am free. thank you, God. But it's not because I hated it. It was just I didn't like that schedule. I loved all my clients. I love helping people, and I still help people now, but just in a different um on my schedule. So if you want that too, decide on what you want. What do you really, really want? Do it a little bit in the morning before work, a little bit after, a little bit on the weekends. That's temporary until you can get what you want to be, get where you want to be. Do what you got to do until you can do what you want to do. It's worth it. All right. I think that's good for today. Let's see where we left off. So she said, regardless of where you are now, you can go pretty nearly as far as you please if you will start today to invest the hours that you have been throwing away. We will leave off there. If you are interested in joining the Penthouse, here we go. I launched that today. More to come on that. I'm going to do a video, more to come. You'll see. But the Penthouse community is going to be a monthly membership. The details are below in the video on my YouTube, and I put them on Facebook too. We will meet together live on Zoom, do some healing, meditation, subconscious clearing. I'm going to do workshops. It's going to be a beautiful, high vibratory community. No more basement. We are not entertaining the basement. We are human and we will have basement moments, but we will learn how to get directly back up to the penthouse and higher levels to really live an inward peaceful life. That is the main goal. And then everything else will follow. It starts on April 7th. So a couple weeks from now, we are going to start. I'm so excited. I've wanted to do this for so long. If you're interested, click the link, ask me any questions, book a call if you have any questions. I also have my one-on-one therapeutic coaching if you're interested in that. And then I also have a package of 4. It's specifically for manifesting, right? Bringing to life, bringing to the physical world what you desire, and self-concept work, really working on who you are, resetting, or further putting in who you want to be, like really reinforcing it and clearing any blocks that are keeping you back from your manifestations and attracting the things that you desire. All the information is below. I look forward to meeting you if you're interested in working with me. And I just thank you for your love and support. Have a beautiful evening. I will see you tomorrow.